Good morning, Rabbi.
Good Chodesh, Chodesh Tov. We are learning Mishna Kesubos, Perek Vav, Chapter 6, Mishna Beis, Mishna 2. Now, this Mishnah is going to be the beginning of a discussion of what we call in Yiddish a naden, the dowry that the bride brings into the marriage. The father of a bride is obligated to provide her with a dowry, household items, money, etc., which she gives the groom when she goes to live in his house at the time of Nisuin, at the time when they complete the marriage process. All right, so that is the first premise, that the Mishnah is saying there is the father has the obligation to give a dowry. And the Mishnah now says the following case: Hapaisek mois lachasnai, someone who pledged to give money, a certain amount of money, lachasanai, to his son-in-law. Okay. Now, as we said, that she brings the dowry into the marriage by nisuin, and in this case, umeis chasanai, his son-in-law died before the nisuin. So the son-in-law had made erisin, he made the kedushin, which means they were married, but they hadn't reached nisuin, they hadn't reached the chuppah, going to the chuppah yet by the time he died. Now, if he dies and he has no children from this wife, he has no children, so then what happens next?
Still get married.
What happens next?
The brother has to.
Yibum or chalitza. That's next. The next step is yibum or chalitza. Now, in this case, the brother is ready to make yibum. He's ready to do yibum, means he's ready to marry her. Amru chachamim, the sages said, Yachalu sheyomar, the father can say, La'achicha yisiroi tzalitain, I was willing to give the dowry to your brother, V'lachi ev shalitain, but to you I do not want to give it. That means that the commitment that he made to the first husband, that was a commitment that he can say, I made it to him. He chose to marry my daughter, and I made a commitment to him of a dowry. But in your case, where you have the mitzvah to do yibum, you have the obligation to do yibum or chalitza, to you, I did not make any kind of commitment. And therefore, he's going to do yibum, and although yibum is seen as taking over, the place of the brother that died, nonetheless, the commitments made to the first brother did not go over in yibum to the next brother. So now, let me read to you here how they elaborate on this here in the notes. If a bride's father says that he will give the groom a dowry and then fails to keep his promise regularly, regular case, father makes a promise and he doesn't fulfill it, the groom can delay the wedding, leaving the bride forbidden to him and to every other man until the father fulfills his commitment. That means if the father is keeping his deal, he can't marry so first of all, he only made erisin on her, right? So he can't finish he can't live with her as husband and wife. She can't go marry somebody else because she's married to this guy through kedushin. So basically, he can hold her in that situation until the father fulfills his commitment. Okay, the yavim, however, has no such right. He must either perform yibum, marry the widow, or chalitza, which frees her to marry somebody else. May not leave her in an unmarriageable state indefinitely, meaning he can't say to the father, well, if you don't give me the money, right, I'm going to leave your daughter stranded. He can't do that because in his situation, his obligation is either yibum or chalitza. There's no other choice. In the case of the first guy, he made a promise to him. He's got to fulfill the promise. But here by the yavim, he never made a promise to the yavim, and the yavim can't go ahead and try to strong arm things because at the end of the day, he doesn't have the right to do that. The first husband, if the hot father is not fulfilling his commitment, he can do things to make sure that commitment is kept before he's going to marry her. But the yavim, where he is coming into a situation where either his mitzvah is yibum or chalitza, that's it, and there are no promises made to him, and therefore, in the case he can say to the yavim, to the brother who's doing yibum, I didn't make any promises to you, I have no commitment to you, and the man has no choice either to go ahead do yibum or to do chalitza. Now, although the Yavam replaces, so to speak, the deceased husband, although the Yavam replaces the deceased husband in a certain sense, he cannot claim the dowry because the father presumably intended to give the dowry to the first husband only if the husband marries her. Okay, when the father made the commitment for the dowry, that was understanding that the marriage is going to be completed. They're going to go to the chuppah. He wasn't giving the dowry before the chuppah. If the marriage comes to the chuppah, okay, then we give the dowry. In the Mishna's case, then, where the first husband never married her, the father did not become obligated to pay the dowry even to him. Right? There was never an obligation to him when he died. And certainly not to his replacement, certainly not to the brother who replaces him. You want to say you're a replacement? You can be a replacement, but, in essence, the whole obligation, the replacement means you can take over so to speak, if it would be possible to be the replacement in this sense, you'd be taking over my commitment to him. But my commitment to him was only for Nesuin. Was only if he gets to the end, if he comes to the chuppah. But if he doesn't come to the chuppah, I have no obligation to him, and certainly not to the one who is just coming to take his place. So therefore, at the end of the day, the point of the Mishnah is that although Yibam will be made, he's planning on making Yibam, but the commitment made to the first husband, to his brother, the deceased brother, does not carry over to the Yibam. Okay. Again, continuing with the situation of somebody bought something, that he was cheated out. He has the right to get his money back, and you want to tell him that he was cheated. So the Chofetz Chaim is going through all the conditions that have to be met before you can tell him to do so. And now the next one is Kol ze dibarnam hu makar lemisana b'tivai shekasha yivadalai ha'emes me'ayna. All this is talking about when you recognize the nature of the person cheated, that when he is told about how he's been cheated, he won't go doing anything on his own. What's he going to do? He's going to follow halacha. He's going to go to Beis Din and demand in Beis Din that he should pay him, which is the way it's to be done. Meaning you're going to tell him about he was cheated, and he will then try to retrieve his money in the halachic fashion. But he recognizes this person's nature, that when he hears about this, he's going to take things into his own hands. He'll grab something from him, or he's going to give back. He's going to give back the whole thing and not finish paying, and he's going to give back the merchandise, which he's not allowed to do, which he's not necessarily allowed to do. Or he won't pay him the rest of the money that he owes for what he bought. In all these cases, if this is what he's going to do, you got to be careful not to reveal to him what happened. Before you're going to be saved from what's considered speaking something forbidden by telling him how somebody hurt him, there are a number of other conditions that have to be met, and that is what we're saying here. Number one, sheyadua inyan zeh shel oina, it has to be known you have to yourself know about this, the way that he cheated him. Not because you heard it from somebody else that he was cheated. You have to know that he was cheated. Because otherwise, then you can't tell him just based on what other people say. You yourself have to know before you can tell him. You have to be two people telling him. Because again, it's only through the power of two people that he could go to the basin and do something. And then, you got to make sure that there's no more damage going to happen to the person who cheated him more than what would happen through what they would do through a basin. So we'll continue this a little bit more tomorrow, the continuation of this. But at the end of the day, you got to make sure that if you're telling this person he was cheated, that the result of that is going to be his trying to get back his money following halacha. But if at the end of the day, he's not going to follow halacha, if at the end of the day, or you didn't know for sure that he was cheated, you heard it for somebody else, it's only one person, or it can come out that there's going to be more damage to the cheater than what would happen through Beis Din, then it is forbidden for you to tell it to this person. Have a wonderful day and a good Chodesh.
Thank you, Rabbi. Okay.